And we're ready to get started. So welcome to Not Your Daughter's Yoga on Tuesday, the 5th of October, Tuesday, the 5th of October. Oh my gosh, time flies. Yeah, so if you're ready to join us for yoga, you can go ahead and head to your mat and get yourself lying down on your back comfortably, making sure that you just lift your hips ever so slightly and settle them back down on the mat so you have lots of room for your lower spine. Before you settle in, you might want to take a big stretch. You may wish to plant your feet a little wider than hip width with your knees bent, and then allow your knees to relax in towards each other, possibly. Just an option. I am just going to do one thing with my settings here. My apologies. Okay, there we are. We are ready. So once you're on your mat, maybe you took a stretch, you've gotten yourself comfortable. I want you to allow your gaze to soften or even close your eyes and take 3 of the biggest breaths ever. Inhale it through the nose, inhaling slowly, slowly, imagining your lungs filling up with air. Holding once you're full, just for a moment, and then sigh it out. And as you sigh out, feel tension leaving your body and just let go of anything that doesn't need to be with you for the next hour or so. So let go of your busyness of your day, what has led you up until this point. Let go of your expectations for this practice. Let go of effort. Just let it all go. At this point in time, I just want you to focus on the fact that you carved out a chunk of time for yourself and you are on your mat. And this is your space. This is time for you to take care of your needs and your needs alone. Everything else can wait until we're done. So again, nice big breath in. Feel it all the way to the top. Hold for a moment. Again, sigh it out. You may wish to really open your mouth, exaggerate it. No one's there to hear you anyway. So just let it all go. And one last time, inhale. Holding for just a moment. Big exhale. Feel your belly soften in response to that exhale. And then allow your lungs to just do their thing. And we're just going to take a quick scan over the body. So noticing how we're feeling today, but as we scan, I don't want you to pass judgment. So just noticing where you feel soft and energetic and good, and other areas where you might be feeling a little tense, a little closed off, but not passing judgment. So start with the toes. So you can check in, give them a little wiggle. Hello, toes. And moving up to the feet, maybe point and flex your feet a couple of times. Check in with how that's feeling. And then you can lift your right foot off the mat and just take some slow ankle circles with the right ankle. And then reverse the motion. Not worrying about any snap, crackle, pop. That's totally normal. And then the other side. So taking circles with the left ankle. And then reverse the motion. If your legs are stretched out flat, I'd like you to just hug your right knee up toward you just for a moment, checking in with that leg, and then extend it long. Hug the left leg up toward you. Hug it in for just a second and let it go long. Again, making sure that you have room for your lower back. You could shift your hips, just gently wiggle the hips a little bit and settling into the mat. Checking in, making sure that the belly is nice and soft. Lungs are moving with ease. Shoulders are down away from your head. Your arms are relaxed. You can bend the elbows and bring your arms in and then release them out and take some circles with the wrists. Reverse the direction. Ball your hands up into fists and release. Again, ball them up, squeeze tight and release. Wiggle the fingers, let it go. Checking in with the neck and throat so you can clear your throat, swallow, whatever you need to do. Open and close the jaw a few times. Make sure that the biting surfaces of your teeth are separated. Feel your face very relaxed and passive, and just enjoy the weight of your head on the floor with no effort to hold anything up, just allowing gravity to just give you a gentle pull in toward the ground. You're nice and soft and you're warm. You're like a little puddle of goo. You're just melting, just soft. And once you've checked in with your body, you can begin to add in your practice breath. A nice smooth inhale through the nose to the count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold for just a second. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Keep going with a rhythm that works for you. It could be a little faster or a little slower than the one I've suggested. That doesn't matter, as long as your breath feels steady and sustainable throughout your practice. So just focus in on that breath, generating a rhythm that feels natural to you. If you want, you can rotate your breath, circulate your breath at the back of your throat so that it makes a little hissing sound on the way out. Darth Vader, it's called Ujjayi breathing, just an option. And once you've generated your breath, you can begin to add in some gentle movement. So again, you might want to wiggle fingers and toes. Take a big long stretch. Get as long as you can. And then I'll ask you to hug both knees up toward your torso. Right knee toward the right armpit, left knee toward the left armpit. Just hugging in. See if you can make yourself into a tiny little ball so you could hug your head up toward your knees. Really rolling up and then extending yourself long on your mat again. Gently roll over onto your right side. Pause there for a moment. And then bring yourself up to a seated position. So once you come up, yogi's choice, you could sit with your legs outstretched in front of you. I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of assist from Haruki here. He really enjoys this yoga times. So you can sit with your legs crossed as well, whatever works for you. And we'll just start with the head and neck. So making sure, first of all, that your shoulders are broad, down away from your ears. You're sitting really tall and imagining that invisible string at the top of your head, pulling your spinal column long and straight. On an inhale, duck your chin toward your chest. Exhale, slowly look skyward, just respecting your range of motion, not pushing past that natural range. Inhale, coming back through center. Chin comes to chest. Exhale, looking skyward. Inhale, coming back to center, and then taking slow circles with the head and neck. You can pause anywhere where you feel like you might need a little extra attention. And you can reverse the motion. Again, going slow, just paying attention to what's going on, but without judgment. And bring your head back up to center. Thought we'd do a little bit of work in the shoulders today. So if you have your strap nearby, you can grab your strap, unroll it, and take a hold of your strap so that your hands are wider than your shoulders, fairly wide. Okay, and then we'll inhale, bring the strap up overhead, and see if you can extend your arms back and just hang out here for a second, just sussing it out, feeling how that feels. And bringing the strap back in front. This time we're going to attempt to go behind. If you're not using a strap, we'll just treat this as an arm circle. So inhale, arms up overhead, and then exhale, either circling back or with the strap, bringing it down behind. Just again, respecting your natural range of motion. If you're circling, just keep circling. Otherwise, you can bring the strap in front of you again. And one more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, extending the strap or the arms behind. Bringing it up again. And then bringing it in front of us. We're also going to use this for a little bit of help with our side stretch. So I'll mirror you. So you can bring your left hand down to your mat. So take the arms up overhead first, rotate the left hand down to the mat while holding onto the strap, or you can just do your regular side stretch. Either one works. This can just help you draw into that stretch a little bit more. Make sure that the right side of your body is really feeling open and you're imagining your breath going right into that rib cage. Big breaths. And release. So if you're just doing regular side stretch, bring your right hand down to the mat. If you're working with the strap, again, leaning all the way over till the right hand comes down. And again, imagining the left side of the rib cage really opening, breathing into that space. And then coming back up to center, you can take your strap off to the side now. We're going to plant our feet in front of us. So if you're cross-legged, you can uncross your legs, plant your feet in front of you, and hands come onto your shins. This is just a little variation on cat and cow. So if there's ever a day that you feel like you want that flexion and extension in your spine, but it's not appropriate for you to be on your hands and knees, or you just don't want to go there, then this is an alternative for you. So holding onto the shins, I want you to draw your stomach and chest forward and gaze upward, respecting your range of motion. You're drawing your abdomen toward your knees. Exhale, I want you to go concave. I want you to round the spine, let the shoulders come forward, and the head ducks down. So this would be cat. Inhaling, belly comes forward, head looks up for cow. Exhale, let the spine round for cat. Inhale, pulling forward and up for cow. Exhale, back for cat. I think you get the idea by now. So just slowly moving, taking 3 more rounds here. Inhaling on your cow. Exhaling on the cat. And when you finish your last cat and cow, you can just come back up to sit nice and straight. We'll come into a spinal twist. So you can let the right leg go long, planting the left foot. Make sure there's about a fist width between the foot and the leg. Make sure that that right leg is turned up and in. So if your toes are hanging out to the side, rotate your femur so it's up and in. You can bring your right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left hand goes behind you like an extension of the spine. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, twist toward the right. Don't lead with the head and neck, so check in with them, make sure they're nice and loose. Want you to see in your body that the twist is coming right from the base of the spine. Nice deep breaths. On your exhale, you can unwind and we'll set up for the other side. So planting the right foot this time. Again, fist width between the foot and leg. Make sure that left leg is rolled up and in. So rotate the femur up if you need to. Left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. Right hand behind. Inhale, think about getting tall. Exhale, twist toward the left. Again, as soon as you get in there, make sure you're not leading with the head and neck. Just allow yourself to relax into it. Couple more breaths. And on an exhale, you can unwind. We'll extend the legs straight out in front of us and bring them together. Gonna bring your toes actively back toward you. So even if you don't go anywhere else, I want you to sit up as straight as you can and peel those toes back toward you. If you're already feeling a lot of sensation from doing this, you might want to hang out right here. If you want to go a little further, just explore how you're feeling today. Walk your hands down beside your leg until you feel that hamstring action start to kick in. You may feel it through the backs of the calves, the thighs, even into the back. So just find a space where you're really feeling that engagement happening and you're moving into sensation. And just imagining that we can breathe into the places where we're feeling sensation. Make sure the head and neck stay loose. And on your exhale, you can walk your hands back if they were anywhere else and come back up to sit. We are going to plant our feet. So again, knees bent, plant the feet. We're going to rock back onto your tailbone. Bring your arms parallel and then lift the shins coming into boat. So just going to hang out in boat for a couple of breaths. So really strong abdominals. Feel like your chest is broad and you're pulling your chest forward. Arms, even fingertips are engaged. Holding steady for 2 more breaths. 1 more. And we can bring the feet down again. We're going to come around onto our hands and knees, but right from there, we're going to lower down and come onto the belly. We're going to do a little belly work earlier on. Okay, Kat, I need you to move your arse. Okay, so you're coming onto your belly. Your hands are going to be directly below your shoulders and your forehead is going to come down to the mat. You can zip your legs together so toes are touching. On an inhale, you're going to bring your head, neck, and chest up for cobra. Hold for a breath. Exhale, bring the head down. If you're like me, just doing that, you start to feel it in the lower back. So inhale again, coming up into cobra. Exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale, coming up for cobra. Exhale, head comes down. This time we're going to take it into locust. So bring your hands down by your hips and you're resting on the backs of the hands. Make sure those legs are still zipped up together. Inhale, head, neck, and chest come up. Exhale, lift the arms and legs as well. So you're like a superhero flying through the sky. So you're getting a big lift right from the lower back here. Breathe into it. One more breath. And exhale. You can bring your hands underneath your forehead. Rest your forehead down. I have a cat hair stuck to my mouth. It's driving me nuts. And bend your knees. Gently windshield wiper your legs back and forth just to release that lower back work. And we'll go in for another round. So again, extend the legs long, zip them up together. Forehead comes onto the mat, hands back by the hips. Inhale, head comes up. Exhale, everything else lifts up. So the only part of contact is your pelvis and your bottom part of your rib cage. Everything else is lifting, feeling that lower back engage. Big breaths. Two more. One more. And everything can release. Head can come down. Hands are underneath the forehead. Bend at the knees. Windshield wiper a few times. We're going to extend the legs long and come up onto your forearms. So your forearms are going to be directly out in front of you. Your arms are parallel and your hands are out in front, coming up into Sphinx pose. So this is more of a passive back extension. So we'll just stay here for a couple of breaths. If you're really big on back extensions, you want to explore going further, you can push into your hands and come up a little more, but no need. Well, for most of us, just hanging out here is already doing a ton of work. So we're going to bring the left arm on a diagonal in front of us. You're going to reach your right arm back, bend your right leg. See if you can take a hold of the ankle and draw the ankle in toward your butt cheek. So you're getting a really big quad stretch here. One more breath and release on that side, and we'll change it up. So this time the right arm is going to go diagonal in front of you. The left hand reaches back, bend the left leg. If you can get a hold of that left ankle, squeeze it in toward your bum cheek. So really make that leg active rather than just pulling the leg into the butt cheek. See if you can flex the leg into it. Beautiful. One more breath. And release. And your arms can come back out in front of you. We will push up onto hands and knees and bring the knees under the hips. I will remind you of the downward dog modification. So toes are curled under, and then set your hands further forward ahead of your shoulders. Open your heart toward the ground, coming into that variation of downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here. If you'd like to come onto your feet for downward facing dog, you can do that as well. Making sure you pedal out the legs. The first downward facing dog of the day is usually just moving a little bit and finding out how our body feels on this particular morning. One more big breath. And then we're gently going to make our way onto our feet at the top of the mat. And roll up to stand. Beautiful. We're going to have our feet narrow hip width apart. I gotta move back a little bit because my hibiscus tree's grown so big that I can't do the sun salutation now. Ridiculous. So standing up nice and tall, feet are narrow hip width apart, abdomen is engaged, shoulders are broad down away from the ears. Relax the hands down at your side. Just focus on how you're feeling in this tall mountain pose. I want you to, if you can close your eyes, but if that throws your balance off, it's okay. I want you to rock your weight forward slowly, slowly, and just notice how the weight distributes over your toes. So feeling almost like you might fall over if you went further. And then I want you to move your weight back. And this time I want you to set your weight back in your heels again. Finding that edge, you're like, oh, I don't want to go any further than that. And then come back to center. Find that sweet spot where the balance lies. Notice how that feels in your hips, and notice how the structure of your body is really important for that. We're going to inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, slowly swan dive all the way down. Gentle bend in the knees. We're going to take one arm in the other and just hang out here, swaying in our ragdoll. Again, little hamstring check-in here. Maybe this time you're feeling it a bit further up in the thighs, in the back, swaying gently. And then we'll bring our hands to our shins. I want you to inhale, come halfway up to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. We'll do that a couple of times. So inhale, coming halfway up. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, coming halfway up. Exhale, fold. Bring your hands down to the mat. Really big bend in the knees here. Step your feet all the way back to the back of the mat and then lower your knees, untuck your toes. So you've got a nice long line all the way from your shoulders, all the way back to your knees. If that line isn't happening for you, move your knees back and tuck your bum down. So bum's up, tuck it down. Inhale here. Exhale, squeeze your elbows in toward your body and slowly lower, slowly as you can. Slow, slow, slow. So thighs, pelvis, belly, chest, and finally head come down. We'll bring our right arm out straight. Now, if you have shoulder issues, I will advise you to skip the shoulder that we're working on, but otherwise bring your right arm out straight. And I want you to push yourself up onto the right side of your body so that you're feeling a bit of a stretch. You can bring your left leg back behind you just to help facilitate that stretch. You could just scissor the leg straight or have that left leg bent a little bit. So feeling a stretch across the front of the right shoulder blade. If you're feeling like that's too much, you can always roll forward again. Staying for one more breath. And rolling back into a prone position. And then again, take the left arm straight out to the side, push into the right arm, push up onto the left side of the body. Again, you can scissor the legs or bend the right leg. Finding a place where you feel sensation across the front of the shoulder. Breathing into it. And rolling forward. We're going to place our hands below the shoulders again. Push back up onto hands and knees. Your choice. Turn the toes under. Open the heart toward the ground for downward facing dog kneeling, or push the hips up and back for downward facing dog standing. Your choice. Wherever you are, really press down the base of each finger, the base of the palm. Really powerful. Hands opening the heart toward the ground. Big breathe. Breathe. Big breath. One more big breath. Exhale, and on your exhale, make your way onto your feet at the top of the mat. I'm just gonna ditch my sweater. It's a nice sunny day. Oh, did I just lose? I just lost part of my sound. Can everybody hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Okay, good, thanks. All right, so standing up nice and straight again. Abdomen is engaged. We're gonna bring the hands to the hips, and with your right foot, take a big step to the back of the mat. And that right foot is going to be coming parallel with the back edge of your mat. The left foot is ahead of the left knee so that you have room to lunge. So a left arm comes straight forward, right arm comes straight back, and then lunge into the front leg, coming into warrior two. We can just stay exactly as we are, or if you'd like to be a little dynamic, add in your archer arms. So you can inhale the right arm forward, exhale, draw it back, inhale it forward, exhale, draw back, inhale forward. You don't have to follow with your eyes, but if you like to, you can. One more time, inhale that arm forward, exhale, draw it back. You can look forward again. We're going to flip the left palm up and scoop the air up and back, coming into a revolved warrior. So your right hand can come on to the right thigh. Really thinking about getting tall instead of going back. You want to go up. Big breaths here. And coming back upright, coming back to warrior two. This time we're going to bring the left forearm down onto the left thigh, and then the right arm can extend up and over, coming into side angle. Hanging out here for just a couple more breaths. I know it's big work. One more breath. Coming back up to warrior two for one breath. On your next exhale, straighten the front leg. Oh, I know, that feels good, doesn't it? And then I want you to reach as far forward as you can with your left arm. Rotate that left hand down, could come to thigh, shin, ankle, whatever. Right arm comes straight up overhead, coming into our triangle. Your gaze can be wherever is comfortable for you. So it could be down to the ground. If you wanted to test your balance, you could gaze up toward your thumb. Big deep breaths here. One more breath. You can look down toward the ground, put a big bend in that left leg, bring both hands down toward the ground. You can lower the right knee down and then draw the left leg back. Put your toes together, bring your knees about mat width apart, and bring your hips back on your heels, coming into a child's pose. That was big work, so just let it out with a couple of big breaths. You can sigh it out. One more breath. And when you're feeling ready, come back up onto hands and knees. You can pass through downward facing dog for a breath. And then bring yourself up onto your feet in a way that makes sense for you. Roll up to stand at the top of the mat, and we'll get ready to take the other side. So hands come to hips, standing nice and tall. Step the left foot all the way to the back of the mat. You can wiggle it back if you need to. The left edge of the foot is parallel with the left edge or the back edge of the mat. Make sure that the right ankle is ahead of the right knee. So if you need to wiggle it there, right heel is in alignment with left arch. Right arm goes forward, left arm goes back, and lunge. Beautiful. Big breath here. Option to add in archer arms. So if you're doing that, left arm forward. Exhale, draw it back. Option to follow with the eyes. Inhale forward. Exhale, draw it back. Inhale. Exhale, draw back. One more. Inhale. Exhale, draw back. Coming back to warrior two for a breath. Turn the right palm up. Scoop that air up and back. Thinking about getting tall more than you're thinking about going back. So getting really tall. Left hand can come down to the left shin. Really open through the right side of the rib cage. One more breath. Coming back to warrior two. We're getting there. This time you're going to bring the right arm onto the right thigh. Left arm, rotate that so the back overhead. Make sure your palm is facing down, that you don't have your arm, sort of your hand rotated out and up. That tends to block the shoulder. So keep the palm down. Big breaths here. On an exhale, come back to warrior two. And then straighten that front leg. Oh boy, that feels good. Reach as far forward as you can with the right arm. Rotate that right hand down. Okay, come to thigh, shin, ankle, whatever works for you. Left arm straight up overhead. Again, make sure that your palm is rotated forward. If your palm faces back, you jam your shoulder. So rotate that palm forward. Options, you could look at the floor, you could look at the whatever's in front of you, or you could test your balance by gazing up toward your thumb. Nice big breaths here. On your next exhale, you can put a big bend in that right leg. Rotate the left arm down, right arm comes down. Come on to the left toes. Lower the left knee. Draw the right foot back. This time, bring your knees together. Sit your hips back on your heels. Forehead comes down. Again, we'll just take a variation on child's pose here. Big breaths. And coming back up onto hands and knees. You can come through downward facing dog for a breath before making your way up onto your feet again, rolling up to stand nice and tall. I'm just going to take a water break for a second. You are welcome to do the same. Maybe you need to adjust your hair, clothes, whatever. So we're going to orient ourselves sideways on our mat. Again, standing tall, feet narrow, hip width apart. Hands are on your hips. And we'll just walk our feet out gradually. You can heel toe them out. Finding a place where you have a nice wide-legged stance that feels challenging but not unstable. I want you to actively push the outsides of your feet down into the mat. So you're almost like slightly rolling your ankles, not really rolling, but pushing down with the outside edge of the feet. That helps anchor you. So hands on hips, think about getting tall and then hinge at the hips, coming forward, coming into our forward fold. So your arms can come down. Remember to leave a little micro bend in the knees, not locking the legs out here. Coming into this forward fold and just relaxing into it. You can bring your hands onto your shins. We're going to inhale, coming halfway out of the fold. And then exhale, coming back into it. Maybe that feels a little bit different. Continuing to take a hold of the thighs, bring the hands around the backs, of the shins rather,
And see if you can draw your chest toward your shins. So drawing to your center line, just deepening that stretch just a little bit. One more breath. And coming back up to stand. We are going to heel toe our feet in just a little bit. So coming into a slightly less wide stance, we're going to be coming into goddess. So bring your arms straight out to your sides in a T. Bend the arms, rotate the palms to face your head. Inhale, think about getting tall. Exhale, I want you to slowly lower your seat down so your thighs come parallel to the ground. Option to bring the arms down. Inhale, coming most of the way up. Exhale, coming down into that grand plie. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Moving really slowly here because it's way more challenging than moving quickly. Inhale up. And coming down. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale, coming down. Keep the arms in a T. We're just going to stay for one breath. And release. Coming back up to stand. Continue to heel toe the feet in. And we'll get ready for tree. So if you would like a little balancing support for your tree, you can go to your wall or a piece of furniture. And we'll get set up. So feet are narrow hip width apart. Abdomen is engaged. You can bring your hands to your hips. Before you think about going anywhere, make sure that you have your gaze resting on a non-moving point 2 or 3 meters ahead of you. Transfer your weight onto your left foot, so I'll mirror you. I want you to make sure that weight is really evenly distributed, right in the sweet spot. Inhale the free leg up. Exhale that knee out to the side. Plant the free foot. It could be against the shin, the ankle, toes down, just not on the knee. Hands come to heart center. Really actively engage. Squeeze your bum in. Core is strong. Shoulders are broad, down away from the ears. So it feels like you're kind of sucking all of your energy up and in. And if you're like me, maybe you have a cat to help you. And you can explore growing your tree on this side. Keeping your eye on that non-moving point. If you sway, if you shake, if you fall, that's okay. Just go with it and then get back in. You bring your hands back through heart center if they were anywhere else. And then bring them to the hips. Inhale the knee of the free leg forward. Extend that free leg long. Hold it for a breath. And then exhale it with control down to the mat. Good work. You can shake out the standing leg, get that circulation going again. We'll set up for the other side. So again, drishti, your gaze fixed on a non-moving point. Transfer your weight onto the other leg. Inhale the free leg up. Exhale that knee to the side. Plant the free foot, shin, ankle, or toes down. Make sure your bum is squeezed up and in. Abs are strong. Hands can come to heart center. Gaze is just zoned out on that non-moving point. And you could explore growing your tree on this side. Again, not worrying about blowing in the breeze, swaying, shaking, even falling. Trees do all of those things.
And hands can come back through heart center if they were anywhere else. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale that free leg forward. Extend the leg straight. Hold for a breath. And then lower with control down to the mat. Excellent work. You can shake out the standing leg. We'll get ready to come into squat. So if you know that you want to use a block for squat or come down onto your seat ahead of time, you can go ahead and set up for that now. If you're coming from standing, feet are slightly wider than hip width. Toes are out on a 45-degree angle. Chest is broad. Hands can come to heart center. Inhaling, thinking about getting tall, and then exhale, slowly lowering your hips toward the earth. See how slow you can go. And maybe you come part way down, use your arms to help you the rest of the way down. Once you're down, if you came from standing, just shuffle a little bit, work into those hips. So if you're seated or on a block or on your feet, the knees are going to be wider than hip width. You can use the backs of your upper arms to encourage the knees outward. Hands come to heart center. Find a place where you can just sit with the sensation. Allow yourself to experience it. You can just witness it without reacting to it. Just focusing in on the breath. If you come to a place where you're like, yep, that's sensation, that's a whole lot of sensation, you feel like you've bitten off a bit more than you can chew, back it off. Just find a place where you can sit and be. Or I should say squat and be. Slow the breath right down. Smooth it out. Two more breaths. So if you're on your feet, bring yourself down onto your bum. If you're already there, then stay there. So feet are going to plant in front of you, still wider than hip width apart. Your choice. You could have your hands down on either side of you, or if you want to test your balance, hold your arms in front of you, one and the other, and then roll your knees so that you're coming up onto the outside of your hip flexor, coming back through center, and then rolling up onto the other hip. So it just gives a nice massage on the outside of the hips, and it also releases some of that work we just did. So just rolling back and forth a few times. And coming back to center. Your hands can come down to either side. Feet are planted in front of you. We're going to open the knees so that you make a really nice big giant diamond shape. And we're going to get into the outside of the hip flexors on this one. So sitting up nice and tall, your hands could be on your shins. And then keep your head forward rather than curling in. I want you to think about lowering your chest forward. So always reaching forward rather than curling in. And just coming to a place where you notice sensation in the hips. Finding a place where you can just sit with that, observe it, but not react to it. Once you've found a position that works for you, then you can relax the head and neck. One more breath. And we will slowly come upright. You can gently bring your knees up and down, kind of like butterfly flapping wings here. Just releasing that work. And then extend your legs long in front of you, peeling those toes back. Again, sitting up really tall, just like we did at the beginning of class. Walking your hands alongside your leg, calming down. Your legs are probably quite a bit warmer now. Your muscles are probably quite a bit warmer now. So you may find that you have a little bit more room to come into this forward fold. Maybe you can take a hold of shins or ankles, or maybe even feet. Gently draw yourself in. That's just an option, not mandatory. Again, letting the head and neck relax. And coming back up. If you are sideways on your mat, bring yourself lengthwise on your mat. We will plant the feet hip width apart. Want you to sit up nice and straight. You can draw your chest forward like we did at the beginning of practice with that cow. Have the arms beside you and then slowly lower back onto your back with as much control as you can. So slowly lowering back until you can't control it anymore, coming all the way back onto your back. If you have your block handy, grab it now and just bring it by your hip. Feet are planted, so knees are bent. Feet are planted just below your hips, setting up for bridge here. Hands are flat on the mat, down beside your hips, head looking squarely upward. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push your hips up toward the ceiling, pushing the backs of your arms really actively down into the mat, pushing the palms down and really pushing the feet down. The harder you push down, the higher your hips can go. Breathe into it, seeing if with each exhale you can get those hips a little bit higher. Last breath. And release the hips all the way down to the mat. Windshield wiper the knees. Release that work. And we're going to go for another round of active bridge before we go into our passive bridge. So again, set up for your regular old bridge. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push your hips toward the ceiling. Push them high. This time you have the option, if you have shoulder mobility, you could bring your upper arms underneath you and clasp your hands behind your back. Just an option. But for some of us, that feels good, helps us get a little more lift on the hips. No matter where you are with each exhale, see if you can push a little harder into the ground to make those hips go a little bit higher. One last big breath. And exhale, lower your hips back to the mat. Windshield wiper the knees. This time we're going to set up for a restorative version of bridge. So having your block ready to put under your lower back. So one more time, set up for bridge, head looking straight up. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the hips skyward. Grab your block, put it under your lower back. So not under the bum and not under the middle of the back, just on that sweet spot in between. Lowering gently down onto the block, checking that that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, lift up a little bit and adjust as necessary. And then you can relax. So you can let go with your arms, just allowing your full weight to rest on the block. Breathing nice and slow. If you really like lower back extension, you would like to go a little further, you could try extending your legs straight. Some people love this. Other people, not so much. Just an option. And if you take it and you're like, meh, then just come back out of it again. Slowing that breath down, smoothing it out. Trying to keep yourself anchored in the present moment. Or if you find that your mind starts to wander to other things that are off your mat, just bring it back to your breath. And the last breath. On your next inhale, push your hips skyward, grab your block, set it off to the side, lowering the hips to the ground. And again, windshield wiper the knees slowly back and forth a couple of times. Now we're going to set up for pigeon. So your left foot will stay planted on the mat. With your right leg, I want you to cross over the right ankle just below the left knee. The right knee comes out to the side and the right foot is flexed so that you're coming into a figure 4, setting up for pigeon here. If this is already a lot of hip opening for you, you could just stay right here. You could use your right hand just to gently encourage that hip to open. If you'd like to explore going a little further, you could have a strap and take that around the back of the left thigh, hug it in, or hug the left thigh in. Maybe you have room to get your hands around the back of that left thigh and then continue hugging in. Make sure that your right toes stay flexed back. So peeled back toward the right knee. That protects the right knee. With your left leg, the lower left leg can just hang out. But if you'd like to multitask, you can just take some circles with that left ankle. And if you're circling, you could go the other way. Try to imagine that you have big lungs right in your right hip and that you're sending your breath right there. Three more breaths. On your last exhale, slowly lower the left foot down, uncross the right leg. You can gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Just release that hip stretch and then set up for the other side. So right foot is planted, left ankle crosses over just below the right knee, left knee coming all the way out to the side so that you're making a figure 4. Make sure that those left toes are peeled back. So the left foot is extremely active, and that protects the left knee. If you've come here and you're already feeling lots of sensation, just stay as you are, maybe encouraging a little bit with the left hand. You could use your strap around the back of the right thigh, hugging that in, or use your hands, so hugging the right thigh in. So to make sure that you're keeping that left foot active and these toes peeled back. When you come and find your version of pigeon, if you have your right free leg, you could just let it really relax. Or if you want to multitask, again, you can take circles with that ankle. Make sure you keep those left toes active and peeling back. Two last breaths. One more. And you can release your leg down, uncross the left leg, gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth a couple of times. We'll bring our feet together and then allow your knees to relax out to the side and the soles of your feet come together just for a moment, coming into cobbler's pose or reclining cobbler's pose. We're just taking a few breaths here, allowing gravity to just open the hips a little bit. And with your hands, assist your legs coming back up again. Plant your feet on the mat. We're going to cross the right leg over the left, no gap between the thigh. Ever so gently pick up your hips, send them like an inch over to the right. You could have your block handy here if you like to come onto the block. Have your block over by your left hip. Arms are straight out either side of you. So if you have furniture or a neighbor, just negotiate that space. Big breath in, relax both legs over toward the left. So if you're coming onto the block, you may want to pull it out further if you'd like to twist deeper, or put the block closer to your hip if you'd like to twist a little less deeply. So allowing your full weight to come onto that block if you're using a block. If that's feeling good, both shoulders are firmly planted on the mat, you could consider turning your head to look over your right shoulder. It's an option, not necessary. And if your head is anywhere else, gently bring it back up to center. Bring the knees upright, uncross the legs, set the hips straight again. And then you can move the block over to your right hip if you're using a block. Again, arms out into a T, left arm crosses over right with no gap between the thigh. Shuffle those hips just an inch over to the left, and then lower both legs over to the right. Again, using the block in a way that lets you just totally relax the weight of the legs all the way over. So you're not holding your legs, you're just totally allowed to be passive here. Making sure both shoulder blades stay in contact with the mat. And if you wanted to, you could explore looking over the left shoulder. If your head is to the side, bring it back to center, gently lifting the legs, uncrossing them, straightening the hips out, and then I'll invite you to hug your knees in toward your chest. So right knee towards right armpit, left knee towards left armpit. Give yourself a hug. Maybe you want to roll around on your lower back just from here. Or you could reach your arms in between your knees. So coming on the inside, you can take a hold of the insteps for stirrup, or the outsides of your feet for happy baby, drawing the feet up toward the ceiling. And then again, you can roll around, give yourself a nice massage, the lower back here, whichever variation you choose. And then if there's any last movement you'd like to take for your practice, maybe you want to come on up into a shoulder stand. Maybe you just like to extend legs and stretch a little, whatever works for you. Take those movements now. And then when you're feeling ready, you can prepare yourself for Shavasana. So you may wish to grab some water, grab a blanket, take out your ponytail, whatever. When you're feeling ready, coming onto your back, your feet could be planted a little wider than hip width, and you can allow your knees to relax in towards each other. If you'd like a restorative Shavasana, you can be stretched out flat. If you want to release the efforts of your practice and let everything go, you could just have your arms out to your sides. If you'd like to retain a little bit of the heat from that practice, you can place your right hand on your belly and your left hand over your heart. Once you come down onto your back, allow your eyes to soften, or you can close your eyes. And just as we did at the beginning of practice, I need to take a few really big breaths. So inhale, huge breath, filling all the way from the bottom of the lungs, all the way to the top. Hold for just a moment and then sigh it out. Letting the breath go, and as you do, feeling your body soften in response. Again, inhale. Make it as big as you can. Hold for a moment. Exhale. Sigh it out. One last time. Inhale. Holding, and then exhale. Let it go. And now you can release your practice breath and just allow yourself to resume breathing normally. I want you to thank yourself for bringing yourself onto your mat today, making time for your practice, but also reminding yourself that you do have this time for rest to absorb the benefits of your practice, and that everything else can wait. So, as much as is possible, try and empty your mind and allow yourself to just be in stillness. If you find that your mind is wandering, it wants to get off your mat before you do, gently bring your awareness back to your breath. And allow yourself to really rest and absorb the benefits of your practice. And I'll be here to let you know when it's time to go. You can start to bring your awareness back to your body as you did at the beginning of practice. Just mentally take an inventory, noticing areas of your body where you're feeling good, relaxed, loose, even energetic, and other areas where you're still maybe holding on to some tension, just observing, not judging. And you could begin to take some small, gentle movement, wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe you'd like to take a nice big stretch. And then roll over onto your right side and pause there for a couple of breaths. And when you're feeling ready, gently bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And once you're up, make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall. You can bring your hands to heart center. Take an inhale and lower your chin towards your chest. And once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. That's what the storm is all about. Haruki Murakami. Thank you for joining me for practice today. Namaste.